Hi and welcome to this new episode. This time I'd like to take a look at something that you wouldn't really expect to see on the CDI. Let's see who Philips got to make some games for. Namco, yeah, that's right. Philips somehow talked Namco into landing their beloved franchises for a game on the CDI. But don't worry too much right away though, since unlike a certain other Japanese developers, Nintendo, Namco actually cared for the project and put out some guidelines for it before approving it. So that's how we got Arcade Classics on the CDI. It's one of the first Namco arcade compilations and came out around the same time as the first Namco museum on the PSX in 1996. The disc houses the three classics Galaxian, Galaga and Miss Pac-Man. There are no extras or anything, which is a real shame. Just a very basic menu, so let's check out the games starting with Galaxian. Now I'm not going into detail on how these games play, since for one, most people already know these, and for two, by seeing the gameplay you'll get the idea within 10 seconds or so anyway. That's what I love about these old arcade games. They don't get complicated with stories, cutscenes or 20 actions to take. It's just fast and simple fun for a quick pick me up and play experience. Let's talk about some differences though, since these games are actually not ports of the original ROMs, but built from the ground up by Philips Media. So there are bound to be some differences and probably some goof ups too. Now I might miss some stuff, since it's not like I can walk down the street to check the originals out at the arcade anymore. And it's been quite a long time since I've actually played the originals, but I'll do my best. Galaxian here seems to move a bit slower than the arcade original and aliens swoop down less. There also seems to be less space between you and the aliens, which evens out the advantage of a slower game a bit. You earn an extra life at 5000 points, as opposed to the 7000 points required in the arcade version. This is all fine by me, since I have a hard time getting there anyway. Yeah, I suck at this game, bite me. The score amounts themselves work in the same way though. The game looks and sounds pretty much how it should. This goes for all the games by the way. The graphics did get a bit of a facelift with some more color and a higher resolution, but it retains the style of the originals. And that's how it should be done, you don't mess with the classics. Speaking of sounds, let's move on to Galaga. Man, I love this game for its sounds. Both the music and effects are so great. Someone should make a mix of just the sounds of this game. I love this game. Not that I'm very good at it, but I can still enjoy it, right? This version though is way too cropped. Look at all the wasted screen for the backdrop. I wish they had stretched the game out a bit more vertically. You just lack range here and need to react really fast to avoid everything. Otherwise, this is actually a really great port. It also helps that both Galaxian and Galaga, believe it or not, control really well. The controls are just responsive, and when you die it's because of your own failure and not that of the CDI, which is a nice change of pace for once. Alright, time to check out the most changed game of the three, Miss Pac-Man. At least most changed compared to the arcade version. I think Philips got a bit confused with the difference between the arcade machine and a Super Nintendo, since it feels much more like that version. You can actually set some options in this version, like the difficulty, which basically translates into game speed. I find Medic the most fun, however, the screen doesn't scroll fast enough to make that playable, which sucks. Easy is way too slow, so you'll be stuck on hard I guess. You can also choose a different set of mazes. They do look different and most of them are a tad better than the strange mazes from the SNES version. But some are still pretty weird and less fun to play, with really open areas or really long pathways. But there are 5 sets total, which is pretty extensive, and you could always play the arcade mazes if you don't like the new ones. The ghosts seem to have been stupefied a bit in this version. Now Miss Pac-Man never had really smart ghosts, but these just go all over the place. They don't seem to care much about where you are. They do get faster rather quickly as you progress through the levels though, and soon enough they'll easily overtake you when coming after you. For some reason they slow down to a crawl when going through those wraparound exits in the maze. It looks really weird and I have no idea why they made it that way. The final option to go over is one player or... One player? What the hell? The other games could be played with two players taking turns. What's up here? Let's check out the manual for this one. The manual is great by the way. I love how Philips just assumes everyone already knows these games. They explain nothing about them. Then again, so did I. So let's just move on now and find our clue here. Ah, I need a second controller plugged in. Let's get one out. Plug it in. To the back of the machine of course, and nothing. The controller works fine when plugged into the front. Oh well, let's try another machine. Well, once you do find some working hardware, then you can play in either co-op or competitive modes. See how it looks more like the SNES version now? In co-op you both get scores individually, which are tallied up for a total score. In the competitive mode you play against each other and you can mess up the other guy by eating a power pellet. When you do, the other player won't be able to eat anything, including ghosts, for a while. It's kind of fun to play in co-op, yeah, but why do we have to play together in competitive mode too? I want to take turns. It's just less fun to yell in your face, bitch. If someone can directly influence your game too by, oh, I don't know, say for example, forcing the screen to scroll up while you're down there. Jerk. There should have been a normal 2-player mode for those with only one controller. But seeing a game that actually uses two is very nice to see nonetheless on the CDI. As for the controls, this game unfortunately doesn't control as well as the other two. There is a slight delay that you'll have to get used to and it'll mess you up often. It messes me up all the time, especially when I get nervous from those damn ghosts chasing me. Boy, I hate horror survival games. All in all, it's a decent collection. And it's one of the better games for the CDI. Now I'm not going to give this a golden third because there are better renditions of these games out there. And I think only 3 games is a bit thin. Where are Mappy, Pole Position, Rally X or Dig Dug to name a few. They should have been simple enough for the CDI to handle too. That being said, if you have a CDI and you can find a copy of this game, it's still worth to check it out. Being that this game came out pretty late in the CDI's life, it might not be too easy to find though. And it never got released in the US, so it'll probably be really hard to get over there. Well, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this review and I'll be off now beating up some of my high scores. Ha! The joke's on all you guys with really high scores. At least I can still often see improvements in mine. It must really suck being stuck on the same score for over a year or longer. Haha!